conservative viewpoint. So interesting to see Hunter Biden choosing to make that the destination of his first interview in a while. And of course, we've got some reaction to the things that he said there. More news coming out of Minnesota. And we have I've been waiting for this all week. We have Senator Rand Paul's now 11th annual Festivus report. He released it today. This is the annual report where the senator lists all of the different programs, the government waste, the spending government waste programs. And they are usually, you have to laugh, because if not, you would cry at the frustration and the ridiculous things that this country spends its money on. I've been, like I said, waiting all week for the Festivus report, and it is finally here. So Merry Christmas to all of us. We'll go through that a little bit later on as we go through the afternoon as well. Yesterday we had producer Emily on. She was at the America Fest Turning Point USA event over the weekend in Phoenix, Arizona. Of course, a lot of controversy and Republican media personality drama coming out of that event surrounding Ben Shapiro and folks like Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and others. Ben Shapiro, of course, is the co-founder of The Daily Wire, and our friend Virginia Kruta from The Daily Wire is going to join us in the 3:00 hour to talk about that situation and what Ben Shapiro talked about and the reaction to it from those folks, Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and others. So looking forward to that conversation about 3:30 this afternoon. We'll also, in the 3:00 hour, talk to our legal expert, the co-host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning, Susie Moore from Red State. And right now, joining us on the line, as he does every Tuesday, even if it is Christmas Eve, you always need the calming guidance and, just the safety provided by a man like the great Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. And Crane, on this Christmas Eve, brothers, don't shake hands. Brothers got a hug.
A lot of joy in the hug.
Oh,
a lot of warmth.
A lot of Christmas just feelings going
feelings.
Through it.
A lot of feelings, but feelings are fickle. That's why we don't base policy on feelings.
There you go. Absolutely. So
nerd alert. Where did that come from? All right.
Crane will be here with me for the entire 2:00 hour. Also, just a quick heads up, I am also hosting the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show this afternoon. So you're going to get a double dose of me, and you're also going to get a double dose of Crane. So after the O'Reilly report at 3:45, I will be back at 4:00 from 4 to 6, hosting the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show today. And Crane Durham will be back with us in the 5:00 hour later this evening. So you get a double dose of all of us this afternoon.
You are the Marco Rubio.
That is
of News Talk STL.
Well, I couldn't do it without you, buddy. So we've got a lot to talk about today. Where to start? Let's start with the Epstein news, mostly because I just want to get it out of the way because it's important, but it's also like, I don't know that we've really seen any bombshell at this point. So here's the latest. The Department of Justice put out a warning today that some of the documents in the latest batch of files it published related to Jeffrey Epstein include false and unverified information about President Donald Trump. The DOJ wrote in a statement that the material included, quote, untrue and sensationalist claims about the president that the FBI received ahead of the 2020 election. The statement reads, quote, to be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they had a shred of credibility, they certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already, unquote. The DOJ wrote on social media, adding that it published the documents because of its, quote, commitment to the law and transparency. The documents included an email sent by an unnamed federal prosecutor with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York on January 7th of 2020, saying that Trump flew on Epstein's private jet at least 8 times in the 1990s. Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell accompanied Trump on some of the flights, and 2 of the flights included passengers who were, quote, possible witnesses in a Maxwell case, unquote, the prosecutor wrote. The documents also indicated a number of trips that were provided to the FBI. I'm sorry, the documents also include a number of tips that were provided to the FBI about Trump's alleged involvement with Epstein in the early 2000s. I think this is all the same batch. If not, it's the back-to-back batches. This is, if you've seen the pictures of Bill Clinton in the hot tub with a young lady whose face is redacted from the picture. I think this is all included in this latest document dump. But the DOJ putting the disclaimer on there today that their claim is that some of the stuff in there about Donald Trump is untrue and sensationalist claims. Anything to see here? Any big news? Any big takeaways that you have in the latest chapter of the Epstein documents saga?
Weaponization. That's all I think of. Anything possible to weaponize against a political opponent, oftentimes from the left, and contrast this to the revelations on Hunter's laptop and the coverage of that. It's just interesting. I wouldn't mind Democrats asking for the Epstein files like they are, but we know it's solely for the purpose of hurting Trump. They don't care. Orange man bad, let's get him. And I gotta believe that after nearly a decade of President Trump being in the public eye as a candidate, as a president candidate and president again, I gotta say, if there was something out there, they'd get him. My fear is that we don't address the problem, which is a guy like Jeffrey Epstein flying under the radar, being treated by our justice system with kid gloves, and doing something heinous, which the practice he was involved in. Absolutely odious, horrible, evil, and concentrate on that. I would like to connect it to one thing. When you have an open border and you incentivize child trafficking and other forms of sex trafficking, you're going to get more of this. So if you're really consistent and you hate this stuff, which I know you do, and I know everybody listening to with a soul hates this crap, get rid of the weaponization unless you actually had something. All right, we haven't seen that. And go to what it is and what policies stop this stuff from happening. And oh my heavens, it's orange man bad policy. That's right.
Trump derangement syndrome.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah, we will continue, obviously, to keep an eye. This is far from over. And as the documents come out and people are able to dig through the thousands and thousands of pages, if we get more information, obviously, we will be the first ones to tell you about it. Let's move on to Donald Trump's announcement about the Navy. Did you see this yet, Crane?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
I'm
good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad because I want to get your initial genuine reaction to this. President Donald Trump announced yesterday afternoon a new fleet of ships known as the Golden Fleet, as he revealed he approved plans for 2 new, quote, very large battleships. Continuing the quote from the president, as you know, we are desperately in need of ships. Our ships are some of them have gotten old and tired and obsolete. That's the exact quote. Our ships are some of them have gotten old and tired and obsolete. Trump said that the new ships would be, quote, 100 times more powerful than any battleship ever built. Renderings behind the president when he made the announcement show the new class of vessel, including one named the USS Defiant, And he said, quote, "We haven't built a battleship since 1994. These cutting edge vessels will be some of the most lethal surface warfare ships other than our submarines." Trump said the Navy would immediately start procuring 2 ships, working up to 10, then 20, and eventually up to a total of 25 ships, and would aim to have the first 2 within 2.5 years. He described the ships as heavily armed platforms combining missiles and traditional naval guns, arguing that gun-based firepower could deliver combat effects in a fraction of the cost of missiles. Each ship would displace more than 30,000 tons to 40,000 tons and serve as a flagship of the U.S. fleet, he said. And the best part, Crane, and there's more, but there's more quotes that are fantastic.
Yes,
the
yes.
best part of all of this is that this new ship is so big, it is a new class of naval battleship, and that class is officially Trump class. The Trump class battleship. The Trump class battleship that belongs to the Golden Fleet. It doesn't get more Trump than this, but you know what? I'm all for the U.S. Navy getting new badass big boats. So I'm okay with it. But Trump class battleships in the Golden Fleet is about as Trump as it gets. What do you think?
I think of Back to School and Thornton Mellon in Back to School, digging a new, where a man goes back to school with his son, who's a sophomore there. And long story short, this guy has a lot of money. His name is Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
He's playing Thornton Mellon, and he's dedicating a building. And he goes, "I dedicate this building to me."
To me.
And I love it. I mean, there's so many, you can get hit with things you don't like from Trump and things you do like. And this is just funny and good and great.
I haven't seen one of the last things that we talked about last week. There was something that went into place and had his name on it. Gosh, I can't remember. It was like a policy of some sort that went into place and had his name on it. And he told the press when he was talking about it, that he's not the one who did that. He's not the one who names things after himself. It's the people around the other people, to honor him. I don't know if that's the case with this. He didn't say one way or the other, but I'm sure he will at some point. I wonder if he's just going to own it as him naming it, or if he's going to claim that it was someone else. But it doesn't matter. The new Trump class battleship is on the way. A little bit more here from the president. He said that the battleships would be equipped with advanced weapons, including hypersonic missiles, electric gun rails, and high-powered laser systems, as well as nuclear-capable sea-launched cruise missiles currently under development. Trump also said that the ships would feature state-of-the-art defensive systems and carry what he described as, quote, a tremendous number of missiles. So that, I don't know what number that is, but it's a lot. A tremendous number of missiles. Trump denied that the ships were meant to counter China, quote, saying, quote, it's a counter to everybody. It's not China. We get along great with China. I have a great relationship with President Xi, and it's not China. It's just everybody. You don't know who comes along, but we just wanted peace through strength, and a tremendous number of missiles. Go ahead.
And Tony, I think the China question comes into play because in the most recent war games being played out, if they were, we were not on the winning end of those. And it did speak to our capabilities with the sea. And so I think I'm glad to hear that there's action being taken, and it really important. You never go wrong. If you want to prevent war, really prevent war, then prepare for it in a muscular fashion, because that's a deterrent. And so I applaud it. It's a good thing. And when he names more battleships, perhaps we'll get more veterans that have paid the ultimate price. Maybe their names will be up there too.
Yeah.
So something to think about.
Absolutely. And to your point, the president used this announcement of the Golden Fleet to also reiterate his broader push to accelerate U.S. defense production, which I think is exactly what you're touching on. And I'm glad to see this as well. The president said he plans to meet next week with major defense contractors to demand faster delivery timelines, increased capital investment, and new factories, and limits on stock buybacks and executive compensation. President said, quote, "We make the best equipment in the world, but they don't make it fast enough," arguing that the companies should invest profits into production capacity rather than dividends and buybacks. Continuing, quote, "I mean, I have sold more planes than any president by far, times probably 20. So every time I go someplace, I sell 100 planes, and I'm always having to say 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, helicopters, Apache helicopters, many years." In April, Trump signed an executive order declaring the erosion of America's shipbuilding and maritime workforce as a national security risk, directing a government-wide overhaul aimed at expanding domestic shipbuilding. U.S. officials have warned that the shipbuilding crunch is colliding with an enormous capacity gap with China. Again, to your point, Crane, the Office of Naval Intelligence has assessed that China has roughly 230 times the shipbuilding capacity of the United States, a disparity that has helped Beijing expand its fleet far faster than the U.S. While U.S. officials say the Navy retains a technological edge, the U.S. Navy retains a technological edge in areas such as undersea warfare and carrier operations. They warn that China's growing fleet size and industrial capacity are narrowing that advantage. The U.S. Navy currently operates about 294 warships, while China now fields the world's largest navy by hull count with more than 370 ships in service. So, as fun as the Golden Fleet and the Trump class is, I like the president's continued focus on the broader push to expand, military capability, pressure these contractors to produce equipment and ships and everything else faster. So I'm all for all this. Go ahead.
That works. I mean, especially the war games that they have done and played out are around mainly Taiwan and the invasion of Taiwan. But I'm just looking at an overall policy and having a muscular policy, and that being, as we see in Venezuela with the drug ships, but it also means our allies. If you really want to secure peace, you can't bail on our allies. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Trump's rhetoric when it comes to Ukraine is not helpful.
Yes, absolutely. Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com is with us for the entire 2 o'clock hour. And like I said, he and I will both be back later this afternoon when I host the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show from 4 to 6. Crane will be with us for the 5 o'clock hour as well. I want to stay on some of these national stories, but we're going to shift to a local issue and be joined by another special guest. Crane and I will be joined by Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer. We talked yesterday about the announcement from the Kansas City Chiefs that I think caught a lot of people off guard, that the Chiefs are leaving the state of Missouri and will be building their new dome in Kansas, despite the actions of the Missouri lawmakers and the governor and the special session that happened earlier this year. So I want to get Senator Nick Schroer's reaction to that announcement from the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll talk to the senator and continue our conversation with Crane Durham next on Colombo Company.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
as we go into the new year, remember that if you have any electrical problems at your home or business, or have any electrical projects coming up in 2026, the team to call is Grasser Electric. If you've never worked with Grasser before, I highly recommend that you call them for your next electrical need, and you will probably have the same experience that I did a few years ago when I discovered Grasser Electric. I discovered them when we moved into our new house in St. Charles County a few years ago, and it needed some electrical work done on the house, lights, fixtures moved, things like that. And that's when I was introduced to Grasser Electric. And ever since then, I have used them for any electrical needs, small or large, that have come our way. And I can tell you from that personal experience that there is nobody better than the team at Grasser Electric. The techs, the customer service is off the charts. The work is professional. It's affordable. They leave the area that they worked in cleaner than they found it. Grasser Electric also offers free quotes for new projects. So if you have an electrical problem or just need a quote for new work, you need to call Grasser Electric. Contact them now and learn more by going to the website grasserelectric.com.
If you have a tree that you think is dead, it might not be dead. Why don't you try to save it first with Roots Plus? Roots Plus can help you save your tree and keep your cash. RootsPlusLLC.com. That's RootsPlusLLC.com or 314-440-3662.
We are the Veterans Health Administration, and our hands provide life-changing care to over 9 million veterans across more than 1,200 facilities nationwide. Join hands with us to make an impact in your community. Learn more at vacareers.va.gov.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station. This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Producer Joey V here. 60 Minutes was forced to dump a Trump segment. Guest host Tony Colombo will ask Dr. Tobler if this was censorship at 5:20.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. I am Tony Colombo here in studio, and we have a lot of company on the line with us for this segment. We continue the conversation with Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. Crane, as always, appreciate your time, especially on Christmas Eve, my friend. So thank you.
Well, it is great to be with you.
Thank you very much. And joining us also, I just did that mostly to make sure that we still had everybody connected.
I like that. You're reaching out.
There you go. And also on the line with us is Missouri State Senator, the host of Stand and Fight, which you can hear every Sunday evening here on News Talk STL. Senator Nick Schroer joins us. And Senator, thank you as always for your time, my friend. And I don't know if maybe I just wasn't paying attention after the special session that you guys had this summer regarding sports stadiums. And, obviously this was directed at the Kansas City Chiefs and their, the negotiations with them about leaving the state of Missouri. But after that special session and Governor Kehoe got the stadium funding and everything that he, was trying to procure for the Chiefs and other professional sports teams in the state of Missouri, I just kind of stopped paying attention. I didn't realize that was not the end of the road and these negotiations were still continuing. And it all comes to a head yesterday when it's announced by the Kansas City Chiefs that they are indeed leaving the state of Missouri and going to be building a new $3 billion domed stadium in the state of Kansas. Thanks for your time, Senator, especially on this Christmas Eve. And I know this is something that you have worked on and been a part of, at every level for a long time. So wanted to get your thoughts on this situation.
Well, Tony, you'll get the inside joke, but another one for the bad guys.
Yeah, another one for the bad
As
guys.
The NFL has screwed the people of Missouri once again. And you know what? The Hunt family has screwed the people of Missouri once again. And what I mean by that, this dates back to when the St. Louis Rams were pulled away, when all of the different owners, I think there were only a couple owners that didn't collude with one another to assist Stan Kroenke and in all that ownership group and leaving St. Louis area. The Hunt team was part of that collusion. Let's not forget it. So a lot of people on our side of the state are saying good riddance to the Hunt family who helped screw the people of St. Louis. And after trying to work, I know Governor Kehoe, I disagreed with the tax stadium bill. I don't want to subsidize these billionaires while they're building stadiums on taxpayer dime, because let's face it, no other mom and pop business gets that benefit. But I do want to give Governor Kehoe credit in trying to concoct some sort of plan to keep them here and not going full-blown crazy lunatic liberal like Kansas did, because now Kansas is going to foot this bill for the next 20 plus years, and they're going to give up 70-80% of the sales tax generated not only by this team, but if Taylor Swift, if anybody in excess wants to get back together, if any concerts occur at taxpayer funded stadium, guess who gets to benefit from it? The Kansas City Chiefs. And it's just, or whatever they're going to call it.
Yeah. So you're breaking up just a little bit, Nick. If we have to, we might have to try to reconnect. But I want to just, you touched on, you weren't for the action at the time. And if we jump in the time machine, this was before the special session to address IP reform. So at the time, and I was also very critical of, why are we coming back into session in the summertime? If we're going to do that to address an issue, why not why isn't it something like IP reform or one of these issues that we've been screaming about for years? Now that did get done, which made that a whole lot better. But at the time it seemed to be very frustrating, but it was, a successful, the governor's agenda was accomplished. Were you and Governor Kehoe, as far as you could tell, at least, did we all believe what I believed at the time, that this issue was solved and the Chiefs were staying and there wasn't anything to talk about here? Or did we know all along that there could still be problems with this?
Well, I think everybody knew that there could be problems, and stop me if I start breaking up again. I'm trying to find best. But that's another issue we're going to try to get.
I have to stop you again because you are breaking up. Let's try to reconnect with Senator Schroer and see if we can get a better connection. The man is a busy man, always moving around. So I just appreciate his time this afternoon. We'll try to get him back on the line here. But Crane, it is, it's extremely frustrating. I didn't like the bill, just like Senator Schroer didn't like the bill to begin with, trying to, give money to millionaire athletes and billionaire owners to keep them in the state. But it's a double frustrating and a double slap in the face when you do bend over backwards to make that happen, and they still leave. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I love the presentation from Representative Schroer.
Yeah,
in the way that, or Nick, I haven't met him personally, so I want to be respectful, of course. I like how he presented it and how these things are done, and also how anything can happen. There's a wild card. Nothing's settled until they sign on the dotted line, and they're always looking for a better deal and the better deal for the team, which teams can. But the idea of that at the taxpayer's expense, not so much.
Yeah.
No.
Amen.
And so, keeping our eye on the ball, I love how he presented it because it was absolutely clear from the beginning. So that's, and it's interesting because look at what's happening. They're going.
Yeah. I think we have Nick back on the line, Senator Schroer. It's kind of crazy to think, Nick, that, in a few years when after their lease at Arrowhead runs out and this new stadium is built in Kansas, that there will be no NFL team in the state of Missouri. It really does. It really is insulting, and seems like the NFL has, it doesn't like the people of Missouri, and that makes me not like the NFL. Thanks for fighting through there. Your thoughts. Go ahead.
Well, hopefully it's a little bit better.
You sound great now.
If not, just hang up on me. But no, I think it's a slap in the face also. We've continued to bend over backward. Before my time in the legislature, the Democrat governor at the time, Nixon, worked with the Republicans to try and concoct some sort of plan, and we got screwed. And here again, we bend over backwards. And in the inside scoop, a lot of us knew that some of the legislators in Kansas were willing to increase their bid and go above and beyond what they were already giving this billionaire. But I continue to go back to this. I'm proud of the Republicans that were steadfast in their policy positions and not saying, hey, I'm all for tax cuts and it's got to be a blanket form to benefit everybody. However, I want to pick a winner and loser over here with this crony capitalism. We've seen time and time and time again, even way back before my time, where a lot of Republicans would throw their policy positions out the window and say, screw it, I don't care. I want to keep the Rams, the Chiefs, the Blues, the Cardinals, whoever it may be. And I'm sitting here knowing a lot of business owners, working with a lot of business owners, saying, well, wait, what about them? Why can't they even get a $100 tax break? If their business is eroding, and they're saying, well, I've got some tax benefits that I could get down in Tennessee, down in Texas, down in Florida. Hey, state of Missouri, what about it? Can you work with me? Large, arguments are just going to go right out the window because the politicians are going to say, screw you, we don't care. So I'm proud to see us kind of holding steady. I know there were some Republicans that didn't want to see the Chiefs leave, and I don't want to see the Chiefs leave, but I'm not willing to foot the bill and have my constituents footing the bill up to billions of dollars just so a billion-dollar multi-billionaire who now we know doesn't give a darn about the people of Missouri, so we can build a stadium for them. And look, to your point earlier, this is the no fun league. This is the NFL that's become softer than the lingerie football league, and they need to start concentrating on their product on the field. You touch the quarterback the wrong way, and you're going to get thrown out of the damn thing. You can bend your knee and say, screw the people of the United States who fought and died for us and our flag. You can wear socks that say cops are pigs. And they're continuing to put all of this puffery and all of this wokeisms on their end zones. Like, stop racism. Well, of course, everybody wants to stop racism. It's not going to be something that you're going to see in the end zone and some racist person's going to say, oh, you know what? Now that it's in the end zone of the Chiefs game, I think I'll stop being a racist piece of trash. So
no, I think
it's that type of stuff that ticks me off.
I totally agree. And I've been saying that, I've talked about this many times over the years. I grew up until I was, 40 years old. I was a sports fanatic, especially when it came to the local teams, the Blues and the Cardinals and the Rams while they were here, and the Big Red when they were here when I was a kid. But especially with football, the other leagues have their issues as well, but especially with football, between the political demonstrations and the erosion of the on-field product with the goofy rules and the constant replays and, analyzing a catch, if it's a catch, 100 different ways. Sports was everything to me for years, and I barely watch it anymore because they have totally turned me off. And so, I would rather them be here, but I'm like you, Nick, and I think you said it well. We're not going to grovel to keep millionaires and billionaires in the state of Missouri and give them our hard-earned tax dollars. So, as far as I'm concerned, good riddance, but we can't forget, them, the way that they left, just like we can't forget the way that the Rams left, and, try to hold them to account for those sins. Nick, thank you so much for jumping on here on this Christmas Eve. Really appreciate a little bonus time with you. And of course, tune in every Sunday.
Tony?
Yeah, go ahead, Crane.
Tony, real quick. You mentioned In Excess reunion. Have they found a new vocalist for Michael Hutchinson? Because
they've tried.
Some people are right there,
they've tried.
We're looking for it. I thought that was amazing.
I'd love it.
You can try a million times, but you're never going to replicate the voice of that beautiful voice.
No, that's true. That's true. But what are the greats for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. Senator Schroer, thank you so much, buddy. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Merry Christmas. God God bless y'all.
Yeah, back at you, buddy. And tune in every Sunday evening, Stand and Fight, hosted by Senator Nick Schroer, right here on News Talk STL. All right, we have another segment to go here. Crane Durham from nothingbuttruth.com with us. Another segment to go with Crane, and then we're going to talk to Susie Moore in the 3 o'clock hour. I want to get into Rand Paul's Festivus report. As I mentioned, I've been waiting for this pretty much the entire month of December because he always releases it, towards the end of the year, and it finally came out today. So we're going to go through some of the highlights of Rand Paul's annual Festivus report, calling out all the government waste that happens year after year here in the United States, and we'll react to the various highlights of this report next on Colombo Company.
In a world where we are free.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Something about Christmas time. Something about Christmas time.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. We keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
We are really getting away with a gift here weather-wise at Christmas, it being so warm out there. But the winter weather in St. Louis is far from over. And when that ice returns, if you have any problems with your gutters or your siding at your home or business or other, parts of your home, the fascia, the soffit up there, Gutter Pros is, of course, the team to call. They're your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. In the fall, we talked a whole lot about leaf protection and how important it was, to have that leaf protection on your gutters at your home or business. And this time of year is, the reason why, because if your gutters aren't draining properly and the water's not, draining and it freezes, that can cause damage and be very costly. Same thing when it comes to siding damage. If moisture and water is getting behind the siding, that is a problem in and of itself. But then when it freezes and expands, that adds a whole new layer of problems to the situation. So if you have these issues and you want to, repair them before a problem occurs, Gutter Pros is the team to call. If that damage is already occurring, Gutter Pros is the team to call. So whether it be leaf protection, gutter repair, new gutter installation, siding repair, new siding installation, fascia, soffit, and more, the team at Gutter Pros does it all. They even offer free estimates. So if you have any of those issues and you need the help of a team like the Gutter Pros, contact them now and learn more just by going to the website gutterpros.com.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
This hour of Colombo & Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 119 94.1 News Talk STL. Crane Durham from nothingbuttruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page on the line with us. And today, Rand Paul dropped his 11th annual Festivus report. Congress's top fiscal hawk is back with his yearly government waste report card, this time uncovering over $1.6 trillion in spending on cocaine experiments on dogs, COVID-19 vaccine influencer campaigns, and staggering yearly debt payments. Quote, no matter how much taxpayer money Washington burns through, politicians can't help but demand more. Senator Paul said, continuing, quote, fiscal responsibility may not be the most crowded road, but it's one I've walked year after year, and this holiday season will be no different. So before we get to the feats of strength, it's time for my airing of the grievances. Rand Paul did laud moves taken by the Trump administration to slash government spending, like the nearly $9 billion recessions package that slashed funding for public broadcasting and some foreign aid. Paul said, while that action was a, quote, good start, it's just a drop in the bucket. Senator Paul noted that in the last year, the federal debt has skyrocketed to nearly $40 trillion, up from roughly $36 trillion at the beginning of the year. Quote, the Congressional Budget Office predicts we will add an average of $23.9 trillion in debt annually for the next decade. The U.S. government will add over $6.53 billion of debt every single day for the next 10 years. We borrow over $270 million every hour. We borrow $4.54 million every minute. We borrow over $75,000 every second. This year, I'm spotlighting a jaw-dropping amount of government waste, the kind that makes you wonder if anyone in Washington has ever heard the word priorities. All right, here we go. Several of the programs highlighted in the report that funneled taxpayer dollars to celebrities, drug experiments, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and several other obscure projects contributed to that staggering figure. Among the highlights are over $40 million on a social media influencers campaign to promote getting the COVID-19 vaccine to racial and ethnic minority groups. This is in 2025, Crane. Still, over $40 million spent on COVID-19 vaccine promotion, and not even just across the board, to racial and ethnic minority groups. Stop me if you ever want to comment on one of these.
Just a quick comment.
Please.
It goes back, and I know I'm being old man River here, but there was a time that a Democratic president was having a balanced budget from Congress in the late 90s, offering tax cuts. There was a time where we were race relations were fantastic. In fact, we elected a black president. It was huge, the promise of that. And now what have we seen? Are tax dollars going to divide us and not have enough for what government is supposed to do? First and foremost is to protect us.
And while I don't agree with it in any way, I recognize what that agenda is. Here's some that I don't even understand, what we're trying to do. A program that spent over $5 million to give dogs cocaine and just and study it. That's it.
Horrible.
That's it.
That is horrible.
$5 million to give dogs cocaine and study them. Over $1 million to teach, quote, teenage ferrets to binge drink alcohol. Again, just to study it. What is happening in this world? Go ahead if you.
Puppies and dogs and going. It just seems madness. I think as we try to study the impact of these things, who is somebody stoned and writing these grant draw-ups?
I think
for
so.
Studies?
I think
because
so.
It sounds like it. Okay?
Well, and here's proof. Another program spent over $14 million to teach monkeys to play The Price is Right.
They're sitting around a room and they're going, no, I got another one for you.
What's that game that you fill in the blanks? Like they say, like put in a noun here.
Mad Libs?
Mad Lib. That sounds like a Mad Lib. Over $14 million to teach monkeys to play The Price is Right. There's also over $7 billion previously allocated by Congress to build electric vehicle charging stations nationwide. That $7 billion investment has resulted in a grand total of 68 charging stations built in the United States. Paul noted, and schools receiving nearly $200 billion in COVID-19 relief funds that has been spent on, quote, rooms at Caesar's Palace, renting out MLB stadiums, and ice cream trucks.
Sounds like the BLM leadership joined the government's leadership there, and they're spending the dough.
Absolutely.
Not good.
Yep.
Very bad.
The report also highlighted other programs, including over $1 million to hire celebrity influencers. What's with the celebrity influencers on this? For anti-drug campaigns targeting, quote, Latinx communities. Nearly $5 million total for studies looking at the effect of screen time on toddlers and mobile phone obesity intervention for toddlers. How about just parenting? How about that?
Yeah. Hey, if your kid's too fat,
yeah,
you can take care of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't need $5 million to tell me that if my kid, if all they do is sit and stare at their phone or tablet and at 2 years old and they weigh 110 pounds, that there's a problem there.
I could do an anti-drug campaign and just bring back the old 70s training videos for work-related accidents. I mean, just get graphic. Bam.
There's a lot
right out of the gate. I mean, it would save lives.
There's a lot more here, but I got time for one more. $2 million for researchers to take saliva swabs at electronic dance music festivals in New York City. $2 million.
$2 million.
$2 million to swab
yes.
the cheeks.
I think we're in the wrong business here.
Party people. Yeah, no kidding. We can definitely come. There's another one here that says roughly $13 million to continue experiments on beagles. And it doesn't even say what the experiments are. Just $13 million to experiment on beagles. The highlights of this are like animal abuse and wasting money on, quote, celebrity influencers.
And the people in Doge were demonized.
that's a whole nother whole nother story moving forward. And you know, Crane, there's been plenty of times where I have disagreed with Senator Rand Paul, but the one thing that you can never disagree with, and I agree with him more than I disagree, but there have definitely been times that I disagree, but there's nobody in Congress that is as honest and unmoving on their beliefs than a guy like Rand Paul. Sometimes that's very frustrating, but he's very consistent with his votes and his actions and his thoughts, something that you can't say about very many politicians, Republicans and Democrats included.
I think it's a great thing to have in the party because it brings us to what you're a libertarian. It's shaping our conservative movement. It's actually conserving the idea of government doing what it's supposed to do and not step outside the lines. It's just that once you start a government program, it's like meth or Coke or whatever.
Yeah.
It's addictive.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't really know that firsthand, but from the pictures I've seen, that's what I've seen.
No, that's exactly right. And that is Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. And as I mentioned, I am putting a little double duty in today. I'll be hosting the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show from 4 to 6 p.m. And Crane will be back with me in the 5 o'clock hour. So thank you, my friend, as always. Look forward to talking to you again in just a little while. Really appreciate your time. Back at you, buddy.
Thank you.
Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. We're going to talk to Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire in the 3 o'clock hour, and Susie Moore joins us to talk about Hunter Biden's latest interview next.
Hey, it's Vic Borselli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Make us part of your holiday this year.
No quid pro quo, only ho, ho, ho.
With the News Talk STL Family Christmas.
I'll be home for the holidays.
We'll share personal stories.
There's more.
And play our favorite Christmas songs.
News Talk STL's Family Christmas.
Beginning Christmas Eve at 4. Brought to you by Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant, D. Gregorio's Food Products, and Realty Net Service Realtors.
Hey, it's Susie Moore with a reminder that for 20 years, Harpo's Chesterfield has been the heart of West County's fun. With their award-winning patio, voted best in West County, and excellent sports bar atmosphere, Harpo's is your one-stop destination. The mouth-watering menu has made them famous throughout St. Louis. Plus, they've got great drink specials and the friendliest, most energetic staff around. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, Harpo's delivers fun, food, and drinks like no one else. Harpo's Chesterfield. Call 636-537-1970 or visit harposstl.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump has announced plans to build a new fleet of U.S. battleships. Joined by the Secretaries of Defense, State, and Navy, the president said the two new battleships will be known as the Golden Fleet.
These are the best in the world. They'll be the fastest, the biggest, and by far 100 times more powerful than any battleship ever built.
He said production of the two ships will begin immediately and that the new cutting-edge vessels will help maintain American military supremacy and revive the shipbuilding industry. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The U.S. economy expanded at a strong 4.3% annual rate from July through September. That happened as consumer spending, exports, and government spending all grew. Economist Steve Moore predicts an economic boom next year, along with lower prices.
We're going to see gas prices around the country go down to as low as $2.50 a gallon.
Moore was interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. The HHS Inspector General says Medicaid incorrectly paid out millions of dollars to people who were deceased.
Medicaid programs made more than $200 million in improper payments to healthcare providers between 2021 and 2022 for people who had already died. That's according to a new report from the independent watchdog for the Department of Health and Human Services. But the department's Office of Inspector General said it expects a new provision in Republicans' One Big Beautiful bill requiring states to audit their Medicaid beneficiary lists against the Social Security Administration's Death Master File may help reduce these improper payments in the future. I'm Julie Walker.
It was a winning session across the board on Wall Street at the closing bell. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 79 points. The Nasdaq up by 133. You'll find more on these stories at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-524-4948. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-524-4948 or biglou.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Some mild days as we head into the holidays. Low 45 degrees is above our normal high of 42. That's how we start Wednesday morning, but it's going to be cloudy and there's a chance for a spot shower, a little drizzle in the morning Wednesday. Then just cloudy skies in the afternoon and mild, over 20 degrees above normal, high of 66. Then Thursday, lots of clouds, maybe seeing some fog in the morning as well, 65 for Christmas Day's high. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Fox News commentary with Jimmy Fallon next.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. This Christmas holiday, enjoy exclusive savings on our high-quality rechargeable hearing aids. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and shop Christmas holiday deals before they're gone at audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Here's Jimmy Fallon.
Trump's house got raided in a made-for-TV raid. And they did that, why? Because the process was the punishment. They knew he didn't have documents. They knew they didn't have probable cause. But they also knew that if they went on TV and showed the world Trump's house getting raided, they'd assume he had something to hide.
Correctamundo.
And that's what they did. They're like, well, let's make it look like he did something bad. And then they started leaking, if you remember, to the press. Well, he might have been selling nuclear secrets to China. Well, this stuff was just hanging out in the bathroom. Do you remember when they took all of the documents and photographed them on the carpet? They arranged them, photographed it, and posted it on Twitter. These documents are so dangerous. They're so secretive that we're posting them on Twitter. I mean, come on, man.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the News Talk STL app.
Anywhere.
I'd like to be under the sea.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Ashlyn, and we in this 3 o'clock hour are going to be joined by Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire. I want to talk to Virginia about some of the news of the day, but also dig into the developing story coming out of the Turning Point USA event over the weekend, America Fest in Phoenix, Arizona. We had our very own producer, Emily Worthmore, was at that event. She joined me on the phone yesterday to give us a recap. And of course, Ben Shapiro, founder of the Daily Wire, is in some controversy with some other conservative broadcasters, members of the media, like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. So we're going to dig into that story a little deeper when we talk to Virginia in a few moments. Right now, joining us on the line is our legal expert, attorney, co-host of the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, host of Red State Radio on Sundays, and daily columnist, deputy managing editor with redstate.com. It's a long, distinguished title for the great Susie Moore, who is with us. Merry Christmas, Susie. Thank you as always for your time.
Merry Christmas, Tony. We also need to add to that the gal who is woefully behind schedule with getting her Christmas prepared.
I think I finished last night, but then I just remembered that there might be one other hole to plug tonight after work. So yeah, I might be with you on that. I will say this, they the online shopping has become so prevalent, and malls. I used to work at the mall as a teenager. That was one.
Me too.
I worked at Jamestown Mall in North County, and holy smokes, was the entire month of December, but certainly the week of Christmas, just absolutely crazy. It's not obviously like that. It's not quite that madness as before, but having been the person that's been doing some last minute Christmas shopping this week at some of the stores like Target and others, there's still quite a bit of people out there physically shopping.
Let me tell you, Barnes and Noble today was the line to check out was kind of roping through the store. I just had one thing I was trying to find there, and they didn't even have it, so I thankfully didn't have to stand in that line.
Yeah. No, but I like it. I like to see.
Me too.
I do plenty of online shopping, and I'm not against it in any way, but I also like to see people going to the physical brick and mortar stores and supporting retailers like that. So it's good to see, but you might get stuck in a line if you try to go shopping today, or
you might have to people.
Tomorrow. Yeah, you might have to people. Exactly. So Susie, I wanted to talk to you about Hunter Biden and this interview that he did with the Sean Ryan show. And hopefully we'll get to that in a minute, but there's a couple of breaking news items that I wanted to discuss with you. We have a ruling by the Supreme Court regarding the National Guard, but also we'll start with this just is breaking here locally. A judge has ordered the removal of Alfred Montgomery as the sheriff of St. Louis. I know this is something that you've kept an eye on, just covering in the media, but also I know this is a story that Mike and Gabe, and then now Mike and you have been covering very closely as well with Loaded Dice, Sheriff Alfred Montgomery. And today, a judge has sided with the Missouri Attorney General, Catherine Hanaway's office, in its effort to remove St. Louis Sheriff Alfred Montgomery from office. In a ruling Tuesday, today, Judge Stephen Omer ordered that Montgomery be removed from office. Closing arguments in the case were on November 25th. Quote, the respondent is hereby ordered ousted from the office of sheriff by the city of St. Louis, unquote, the judge's order stated. There's a few more details here, but I want to get your thoughts on this. Any surprise? Is it about time? What do you think of this ruling?
So it's not a terrible surprise. We kind of got the sense that, this is just kind of a situation that doesn't really seem tenable as far as keeping somebody who's not only facing federal charges, but imprisoned, facing pending trial for those charges. That he's really not capable of maintaining and running the office. And so, from a practical sense, if nothing else, this is the decision that makes sense. Now, as we were talking, I was pulling up the decision. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Obviously, it's about 10 pages long. I'm going to take a look at it when I have the chance and all my free time. But it doesn't surprise me. I think I would have been more surprised had he ruled, nope, he's going to maintain the office. This still, of course, doesn't mean that he's going to be found guilty when his federal court case goes to trial next spring. But I think this is one of those things that, from a practical standpoint, the city of St. Louis needs some sort of resolution, and they need to know that the people that they're relying on to run these different departments are capable of doing that. So this is kind of one of those, this makes sense type decisions.
Yeah. So former St. Louis Police Chief John Hayden has been serving as the interim sheriff since October 29th. I guess he will take over as the official sheriff now. And as you said, there's still the court case to be decided. Does this ruling and removal have any, if somehow he's found not guilty in that case, would he just be automatically reinstated? Do we even know? Is there any precedent to even know what's going to happen over the next few months? Go ahead.
No, I don't think there's precedent for it that would say under those circumstances, but I will tell you, just without, again, having read the decision itself, my gut on this is that no, once you're removed under a quo warranto suit like this, you don't get a second chance if circumstances change. In other words, this decision didn't hinge on what happens with the criminal case.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So I just think that he's out of the office now.
So I don't know when the next sheriff's election is supposed to be, but of course, a sheriff.
I'm guessing in 28.
Yeah. So do you think there might be a special election before then, or we're just guessing now? But what does your gut tell you about the future? Just leaving the interim.
Gut.
Go ahead.
Gut tells me they'll go with an interim appointed person in that position. I don't know that they would hold a separate special election just for that position, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it, but this is literally breaking news. It just happened 15 minutes ago. So brand new stuff, and we will keep you up to speed and give you any new details as they are revealed. So keep it here for that. Also, as I mentioned, we have another bit of news to cover today. It wasn't the Supreme Court, but Trump did win a court ruling about a week ago regarding the National Guard and its deployment in Washington, D.C. But of course, Washington, D.C. is a different beast than other states and cities around the country. And today, the Supreme Court rejected a bid by the Trump administration to deploy National Guard members to the Chicago area while a legal challenge moves forward, delivering a setback to President Trump in his effort to use the troops in Illinois to ensure enforcement of federal immigration laws. Again, this just happened a little earlier this afternoon. So we're still kind of unpacking this one as well. What are your thoughts on this ruling, and what does it mean for this battle about Guard members that Trump has been in for months now as it moves forward?
So, okay, there's a couple of really important distinctions to make, and you already kind of hit upon one of them. The decision about D.C. was different because of D.C. being a federal district. So this case and this ruling could have impact as far as the other National Guard cases that have been brewing in California and Oregon and obviously in Illinois. What this ruling doesn't do is definitively decide whether and when President Trump or any president can call out the National Guard and deploy them and under what specific circumstances. All it really decides is that under the case that's before the Supreme Court right now, they're saying the Trump administration hasn't made the showing it needs to say you need to stay the lower court decision. And this is going to sound really granular and hyper technical. I guarantee you 90%, well, okay, maybe 75% of the reporting on this is going to get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say, oh, the Supreme Court has ruled Trump can't deploy the National Guard. Yep. No, that's not what this ruling does. But what they are saying is we're going to leave in place for now the lower court decision that put a pause on that while this works its way through the court. So we're not sure that the government will be successful ultimately, and we don't think that they've made the showing they need to for us to interfere with this lower court decision right now.
I think you're. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to finish it up by saying this. It's not a very long opinion. It's like 25 pages with all of the dissents and the concurrence from Kavanaugh. But it's very, very hyper technical. And so I promise you almost all of the reporting on it's going to be wrong. That said, I will tell you that the article that Joe Cunningham got up at Red State for us very quickly, I think has a pretty good rundown of it. So if people want a reference point, I would like to refer them to that.
Yeah, I recommend. I'm going to definitely check out that report as well at redstate.com. And I think that you're right that a lot of the reporting will be wrong, and I believe that it will be intentionally wrong. I think that the left wing media in some areas will intentionally report or use the headline Supreme Court stops Trump from deploying National Guard or rejects Trump from sending the National Guard to Chicago or cities or whatever it may be, knowing that that's not exactly what happened, but it pushes their narrative. And so I think that a lot of it will be wrong. Some of it honestly wrong because of the legalese and all the, the things that we discuss almost on a weekly basis with you and these various court actions. But I think some of it will be, very intentionally misleading reporting.
I think you're probably right about that.
Yeah, just to put a point on what Susie said there as part of this report here. It says the High Court left untouched a judge's decision blocking the government from putting National Guard members on the streets of Chicago. The Trump administration had asked the Supreme Court to get involved and freeze this order, and they just simply said, we're not getting involved at this time. They didn't make any type of ruling either way. They just said
no, but they went further than they should have. That's just why Justice Kavanaugh's concurrence, I think, is really important, because he criticizes the majority of the court, the unsigned opinion, for basically going further than it needed to do what it's doing here. So it's going to confuse things, is what it's going to do. If I had to bet, I would bet you almost anything that Chief Justice Roberts is the author of the per curiam opinion, because it unnecessarily complicates things.
Well, again, this is breaking news, so we'll keep an eye out for that, and we'll get those details to you. And check out all the reporting on redstate.com from Susie and her colleagues to keep up with all of this. All right, let's talk about Hunter Biden while we still have a few minutes left here. Hunter Biden poked his head out of the hole. Are you familiar with the Sean Ryan show? I am only very, at a surface level. I've seen clips. I've never watched a podcast, but it's always been my understanding that this is a veteran and a pretty conservative guy. So I was a little surprised to see Hunter going on the Sean Ryan show, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah. I'm familiar with it, and I watched this entire episode probably 6 months ago. He had on Lindy Lee, who was like the flavor of the day, recent convert from the left that everyone had on as a guest, and I had written an article like, watch out, because I had prior experience with her. So I wanted to see her appearance on his show. I've followed him, and I have generally found myself, feeling like we were aligned on a lot of stuff. I am revisiting that because I don't think that there was much, if any, pushback on much of the BS that Hunter was spewing. And I know he does like to sit back and just sort of let his guests talk. But I also think this is part of this growing split where there's a split in those who believe like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are doing, are trying to do a good job or are doing a good job, and those who are now have axes to grind. And I think he's falling into the latter category. So I'm just going to say, take everything with a grain of salt.
So we're going to talk to Virginia Kruta, who you know well from the Daily Wire here, and right after we talk to you in about a little less than 10 minutes from now. I bring that up because we're going to talk about the situation with Ben Shapiro and Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and others. When you talk about that divide, like you just mentioned, with people lining up on sides when it comes to things like the FBI and Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, would you say that what happened over the weekend is at the America Fest Turning Point event with Shapiro and these others is part of that divide that you're talking about?
It's a different divide.
Yeah. A lot of divisions.
It's a different divide, and yeah, it's a different divide, and for different reasons. But it is a similar situation, probably a little bit more profound in terms of having an effect on the conservative movement. And it's troubling. People are taking some interesting positions that I guess I would have never expected them to take.
Yeah. Well, we're going to dig into that a little deeper when we talk to Virginia here in a few minutes. Speaking of things that weren't profound, some of the highlights, if you want to call them that, from Hunter Biden's appearance on the Sean Ryan show. Hunter said that it was absolutely a mistake to join the board of directors of the Ukrainian national gas company Burisma in 2014. Quote, was it a mistake to go on the board? Yeah, it was absolutely a mistake, not because of anything that I did that I'm embarrassed about or in any way whatsoever feel conflicted about as it relates to what I did for Burisma, but because of the political position that it put us all in, said Hunter Biden. Hunter joined Burisma in April 2014. At the time, reportedly connected the firm with consulting firm Blue Star Strategies to help the natural gas company fight corruption charges in Ukraine. During the time Hunter Biden was on the board of the company, Joe Biden was vice president and was running U.S.-Ukraine relations and policy for the Obama administration. Senators Chuck Grassley, Ron Johnson, and others released a report in September 2020 saying that the Obama administration officials knew that Hunter Biden's position on the board of Burisma was problematic and that it interfered in the efficient execution of policy with respect to Ukraine. However, according to Hunter Biden, his position on the board was only used as, quote, the toe in the door to call my family the Biden crime family without any evidence.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who are lapping that up and believing it all.
Are there?
But
are there?
Well,
even the people that still, first of all, are there even Democrats that are sticking up for Joe Biden anymore? And if there are, is there really anybody that defends Hunter Biden anymore?
No, I don't think there's anybody that really defends Hunter Biden, although this may be an attempt to change that. This may be an attempt to kind of rehabilitate his image and get, people have short memories and maybe he's banking on people forgetting this in a couple of years. And I don't know, but yeah, I'm not sure what the purpose was. I mean, I think that I guess some of the headlines are that Hunter Biden even, acknowledged there being some issues with the Afghanistan withdrawal and immigration under his dad's presidency. But he also said that there really wasn't a laptop.
Yeah. And
the laptop that's been authenticated
and barely, like, you'll see those headlines. Like, I read the headline, that Hunter Biden said it was a mistake to join the Burisma board. But then you read the story and he's like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. And I didn't, there was no influence.
It just didn't look right.
Yeah. It just, I regret that it gave our political enemies ammo. That's the only thing that I regret. And the same goes for the Afghanistan comments. Well, he said that it was that he called it an effing failure because it certainly was. And it cost the lives of 13 Marines and more. But he then went on to talk about, how their mistakes were made and that Joe didn't, his direction and his plan, wasn't what caused all of the, there's just all all these excuses laid in after. So if you see the headline that says, Hunter Biden, like, for example, on this one, exactly, it was Hunter Biden criticizes his father's failure on Afghanistan. That sounds like it could actually be, some reality or common sense breaking through. But then you read the entire quote and you read or listen to the entire portion of the podcast, and it's far from, any kind of mea culpa coming from the Bidens in any way. But still kind of bizarre and really interesting to see Hunter Biden deciding to poke his head out of the ground here at the end of the year for, I don't know, I guess he just misses the spotlight.
Just celebrating having a pardon for a year now.
Yeah, and he misses the spotlight. He likes I think he really enjoys being the center of attention. All right.
He also doesn't have a very good source of income, stream of income now, so he's got to figure out some way to make some bucks.
Yeah, no kidding. Susie, before we let you go, just looking into the new year, 2026, are there any, we've talked about so many big issues that have been bouncing around the courts throughout the last year and maybe even longer than that. Just like off the top of your head, are there any big cases that could finally be coming to an end that we're finally going to get some resolution on in the early part of 2026? Is there anything that's right around the corner as far as that's concerned? Or
well, we have to remember that the term goes through the end of June, so I can't say right around the corner, but there's probably going to be a ruling on birthright citizenship. There's going to be one on the removal of those independent agency leaders. Those are two of the big ones.
Yeah.
And then some of the other ones that have been some of the immigration cases, those are going to kind of come back around, and there's going to be some more definitive resolution on that as well. So a lot of it's going to have to do with basically, who has the authority to do what.
Yeah. And it will continue to be a very busy time. And that's why we appreciate the time of Susie Moore from Red State, co-host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning every weekday, 5:30 a.m. here on News Talk STL. And of course, Red State Radio every Sunday afternoon here on News Talk STL. Susie, Merry Christmas. Thanks for your time. And we will talk to you again soon.
Merry Christmas, Tony. Take care.
I got you. Thank you. All right. Before we wrap up Colombo and Company and get you to the O'Reilly Report, then the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show, hosted by yours truly this afternoon, we're going to talk to Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire next.
He'd let us in, knows where we've been.
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Intervine and Intervine.com, local family-owned business owned by Mike McCleary, our AI big tech expert here on the show, who you hear every Monday. He was with us, of course, yesterday. Go check out the podcast if you missed any of that conversation. And Intervine.com, of course, makes the best flashlights, lanterns, and headlamps available on the market. Tactical flashlights, heavy-duty lanterns for the hardcore outdoorsman, all the way down to, a small, reliable flashlight or headlamp that goes in a drawer of your home or the glove box of your vehicle, and more products at Intervine.com, including batteries in different sizes. And of course, especially if you have kids this time of year, Christmas is a couple days away, lots of toys, lots of electronics. Maybe you need to stock up on batteries. You can do that as well at Intervine.com, and you can do it all for 25% off everything just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code, TONY. Tony gets you 25% off everything at Intervine.com. INTERVINE. Use my name, Tony, for 25% off everything at Intervine.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
For decades, CBS 60 Minutes was a gold standard of news. I say was. During the 2024 election, we saw how CBS 60 Minutes would manipulate an interview to make Kamala Harris look better. Trump sued, saying that was a brazen manipulation to influence the election. Well, the network and owners denied the charge, but then they did pay $16 million, while never admitting any wrong, never offering an apology, and still insisting we were doing responsible journalism. Well, what did that $16 million represent? Last week and on Saturday, CBS promoted a 60-minute story about a brutal El Salvadoran prison. But after all that promotion, the CBS News editor-in-chief spiked the story, killing it. The story would apparently cast a bad light on the Trump administration. It did not include any response from the White House. The reporter on the story said 60 Minutes reached out for comment from the White House repeatedly, but got no response. So she believes the story was killed by a political decision, not a journalistic reason. And I tend to agree. And if the Trump administration or anyone thinks if we just don't respond, they will drop the story, That opens the door for censorship, and I don't like it.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Previously, I've told you about dustless blasting, a special service offered by Wellington Environmental. It could work for you in your place. Recently, a crew removed a driveway sealer that had failed. The owner wanted to go back to the original concrete so it could be properly sealed. Dustless blasting worked. That homeowner is happy. Now, sometimes surfaces need pressure washing instead of blasting. In fact, there was an exterior stone fireplace cleansed by pressure washing, and when it dried, all the dark stain was gone. That stone had its original appearance. Wellington is versatile with blasting. Dustless blasting or whatever you need. They will evaluate and make a decision. How do you get them to your door? Very easy. Call 314-644-4930. 644-4930. Wellington Environmental, making your world great. In fact, be safe, be well with Wellington Environmental. Looking for a gift sure to please? Simply go to Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. You get a gift card, you choose the value, then they can use it at any of the Napoli locations. Plus, you want to surprise them with something totally unexpected? Walk a few doors down, Lit Cigar Lounge. That gift card can be used for premium cigars, lighters, decorative ashtrays. Once again, you made someone happy. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta and Lit Cigar Lounge.
Don't know much about history.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. One more segment to go here before we hand it off to the O'Reilly Report, then the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show, which will be a Colombo and Company redo. I will be filling in for those gentlemen this afternoon. Right now, joining us on the line from the Daily Wire, joining us at a different time this week because of the Christmas holiday. Thank you, Virginia Kruta, for jumping through the hoops and joining us on a Tuesday this week, since we will be, of course, celebrating Christmas later on this week when you would normally be with us. Great to talk with you, and Merry Christmas, my friend.
What do you mean you're serious about broadcasting? You're not going to broadcast live on Christmas? Like,
we have a Christmas special. Christmas special.
What?
We're playing the Christmas hits. Conservative Christmas special coming your way on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. But of course, I wanted to talk to you, and we only have about 10 minutes here, so I want to get to it as quick as we can. Yesterday, we talked to our very own producer, Emily Worthmore, who was an attendee at the Turning Point USA event over the weekend, America Fest, and we touched on this developing sort of internal controversy happening between Ben Shapiro, of course, the founder or co-founder of the Daily Wire and in your organization. Yep. I know you know Ben and the team obviously very well, and some other folks like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. And I think that there's a lot of, I went and watched Ben's entire, because I didn't see it live, and then I saw clips and heard all the opinions, but I went and actually watched the entire sort of 30 minutes, presentation that he had today. And I can say that definitely some of the reporting is not exactly accurate. Parts I agree with, parts I don't agree with. Wanted to get your thoughts on this sort of unfolding drama within the, I don't know, conservative media sphere. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but okay, you know the situation.
Yeah. So you're talking about, you went back and watched Ben's speech. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, at the event. I watched the whole 34 minute or whatever it was. I had seen clips before that, but I had never sat down and watched the whole thing until earlier today.
Right. And so I think that the important part of what Ben said, actually, he talked about the people who have platforms like he does, or like Tucker Carlson does, or like Candace Owens does, or really anybody who has a large number of followers or can command an audience like that, right? That's who he was talking about. And he said that if you are one of those people you owe the people you are talking to certain things, right? You owe them. So if 5 obligations that people who speak to you on matters of importance have to the people they're talking to, right? And the first duty is truth. That means you should not be misleading. You shouldn't hide the ball. You shouldn't deliberately obscure what we're telling you. We have an obligation to clarity and to honesty. That's what he said. We must be clear in our language. We should not traffic in generality. We should not say things like they shot Charlie without specifying what we mean by they. And again, he is speaking directly to theories most often propagated by Candace Owens, that somebody, maybe people within TPUSA, were actually responsible for Charlie's death, or knew about it, or helped set it up, or any number of other allegations. But what he's saying is, if she's going to continue to do her podcast and say, well, they are responsible for Charlie's death, I'm just saying. Well, unless you have evidence, you shouldn't be just saying because you have a platform.
She said, I don't know, but I know. And he called that ridiculous.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
I agree.
It's like, because you are saying, and what he said she's doing, if you want me to boil it down, is more like she's setting you up to feel like you are now an insider on this like grand conspiracy that only the really smart people can see. So she kind of fluffs you a little bit and makes you feel like you're in on the secret, but she doesn't actually ever give you evidence that the secret is real.
So,
and that's what he's getting at. He's like, you have a duty to not do that.
So after watching the whole thing today, like I said, I agreed all along with the message, but after watching the whole thing, like I really agree with the points that he was making in the message. I think is an important one. But
it does get into a lot more important stuff too, because we owe you truth. We also owe you the duty to speak out of principle and not personal feeling. Personal feeling is not a substitute for moral judgment, which is right out of the Charlie Kirk playbook, because he said, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right.
Right.
And as Ben has said, how many times, hundreds of thousands, facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah.
They don't change because you don't like them. They don't. And so third, we have a duty to take responsibility for what we say and do. So if you host a Hitler apologist, you have a responsibility to acknowledge that that's what you did. And that's where he was taking aim at Tucker, because Tucker hosted Nick Fuentes and basically coddled him throughout the entire interview.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Fuentes said something about how much he respected and loved Stalin, and Tucker didn't even ask a follow-up. Like, come on.
Yeah.
The door's open, dude.
So it was that mentioning, it was the calling out of certain people, specifically Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly, I think, that ruffled the feathers. I don't see the message being a problem, but
right. And
what about,
here's what I have to say. One of the issues that we had, and this is going into the 2016 election, it was a big deal that people wanted to talk about terrorists, but they didn't want to say that Islam was the ideological driver behind the terrorism. And Ted Cruz made a big deal out of it in his CPAC speech, and he stood up and he said, look, we have to be able to call evil by name. And I'm not suggesting that evil applies to the actual people we're talking about here, but if you have an issue I think he's right to say that if you cannot call out the problem by name, you can't fix it. You can't say, if you cannot say Nick Fuentes is the wrong person to have associated with our movement, if you can't say that out loud and mean it, then you're a coward too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he's getting at. I don't think he's saying these people are evil. He's saying these people are taking the easy way out.
It's going to be interesting to watch how
So-
this progresses and if this continues to be,
Right.
under the
It-
national
it is.
spotlight as time goes on.
And I will say, I don't know if you watched the follow-up speeches, the ones from Megyn Kelly in particular, and Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson, all of whom were called out during Ben's speech. If you watch what's interesting, Ben's speech mentions them, but the majority of his speech is focused on these 5 things that we owe people if we have a platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he used them as examples of people who were not doing it.
Yeah, Virginia, almost
If you
are.
watch the follow-up
Yeah.
speeches, they spent their time attacking him instead of addressing the points that he made.
We are almost out of time, but yeah, I think that that is a really good point. I think the context, and that's why I went and watched his entire
sure.
speech, and I think that everybody should do that. Watch the speech, watch the reactions. Don't rely on highlights and clips to
Definitely
understand
not,
the entire
yeah.
story, and then make your decision.
And
from
don't
there.
rely on just us. You know, we're just people who saw the speeches too and are talking about it. You know, go watch they're all available. You can go watch all of it. You can read some
For
of
sure.
the transcripts are out there. You can get it and see for yourself what we're talking about.
Yep. Virginia, thanks so much for jumping in a little bonus time here this week. Merry Christmas, my friend, and we'll talk to you very soon.
You too.
Yeah, great stuff. Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire. Okay, the O'Reilly Report is next, and the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show with me.
Looking for treasures from the past? Discover Mimi's Antiques Attic, your locally owned and family-operated treasure hunt destination. Explore 16,000 square feet of antiques, crafts, collectibles, and designer items across 225 unique rental spaces. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sundays, 10 to 6 at 1000 Warrenton Shops in Warrenton. Mimi's Antiques Attic, where every visit uncovers new treasures.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon